Welcome back, everyone. This is the weekly performance report. So, the noticeable activities over the last week were finally did a little buying. I bought some True Leaf, some Green Thumb, and some Vario. You might recognize that as Goodness Growth. And the reason I bought that was Monday, news came out that the DEA scheduled for December 2nd. I guess I'll just read it. I entered new, albeit small positions in True Leaf, Vario, and Green Thumb. Monday morning, saw these names fall Monday, saw these names fall 10 to 15%. Due to news, the DEA scheduling a hearing on reform. Seemingly, the reason for double-digit drops was due to it being scheduled for December 2nd. As such, it is now delayed until after the election. That's what the hoopla is about, because a lot of people thought it was going to be before the election because when does a person's expectations necessarily need to reflect reality? Because their hopes and dreams and such thought it would be before, and then they post hoc rationalized it and then actually set real life expectations around that modeling, and then a lot of people became disappointed when that didn't manifest. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Now, you could say that this further delaying increases the probability that it won't get passed in 2024, meaning that the taxes won't be retroactive for 2024, meaning that they'll have to pay their 280E taxes in full for 2024 if this gets postponed into 2025. And the later it gets postponed, December 2nd is less than a month, then you could say that there's real risk of them having to pay taxes in 2024 on the 280E level. That would be the more intelligent way to say that, okay, well, that was being priced into getting addressed, and therefore True Leaf needs to get penalized. I think, 10, 11%? Vario was down, I believe, 15% when I bought it, or something like that. And so you could say, well, you're penalizing them because it's going to affect earnings to this extent, and so on and so forth. Whether that's the real reason, did people just hit the panic button because practically everybody was saying that they expected it to happen before election? So, which is, I've noted before in my writings and in my videos that these people who have demonstrated themselves to be terrible forecasters of political events each and every time, it's that meme, like, did it work for them? No, but it'll work for us. It's like, when you make so many terrible calls over half a decade, maybe you just stop making calls because you realize you're not good at making calls. But that's not what people do. Each time they think it's different. This time is different. My call and prognostication is like, okay, whatever. So, I digress on that. I closed the week down 1.19%. Ended the month. I believe I ended the month. Oh yeah, let's scroll up. I ended the month down 1.82%, and then yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm up 23.5% on Vario, but that thing's in one of those channels over the last couple months where it bounces, I don't know, between 42 cents and high 50s, let's call it 58, 60 cents, something like that a share. So it's just in this range-bound fluctuation. So the fact that I'm up 23% in a matter of 5 days is cool. But just like Grown Rogue bouncing between, well, let's call it 58 cents and 66 cents. It's just in this range. So I fully expect to give all that back next week, just as the consequence of normal volatility. So that's the kind of volatility I'm expecting to have. I'm remarkably up on True Leaf and Green Thumb for the week. They closed strong on Friday, so I'm barely up on those positions. Valeris is just pissing me off at this point, and I really don't want to talk about it. And then Siboney, Stillwater, there was some hoopla on Twitter about that closing at, I don't know. Someone said new lows, which sounds so dramatic, but they're not new lows. Maybe like new 52-week lows or something. I thought I saw somewhere 5-year lows. I'm not. I thought I looked that up, but let me look it up again. It's 5-year lows. Yes, so it's now at a. What? No. Well, whatever. Lows, people are all excited, so have fun with that. It's a small position. I entered it that way. I said way back when, if it wants to fall, I think I said to like 250, and so be it. Does it base here or does it fall? I don't know. And yeah, just Decibel and Rubicon just bouncing around a good 20 to 40% in volatility, and lots of volatility, and my portfolio has essentially gone nowhere for months now. And that's that. But the overall market hasn't. It's amazing. I would think that, a third of my portfolio is in cannabis stocks. Then, I don't know, 20% in precious metals and 20% in offshore oil, something like that. And yet somehow it's tracking so well in line with the S&P. It's like, you think I would either be up 40% or flat on the year or something, not pretty much just tracking in line with the S&P within a 10 percentage point range. And yet here we are, and I am. So that's always interesting and slightly frustrating. But to say frustrating is really to say that I had false expectations, and now I'd be like many of the foolish cannabis investors with these unrealistic false expectations. With, if anything, reality has demonstrated that those expectations should never exist in the first place. So the fact that I think I should be up a lot more or down a lot more is wrong. Because as I've shown and demonstrated and talked about before, about in the early days when I had a lot of cash, I said I do 1.5 times what the S&P does. So if the S&P goes down 2%, I'm down 3%. And if it goes up 2%, I'm up 3%. As a general heuristic. And therefore it makes sense that I'm kind of in line with things. And I was kind of separating there in, April, on that 13%, nearly 13% up month, but I've given much of that back. So, is what it is. Well, I'm done rambling, so thank you for watching, and until next time.